Wednesday. Top of the morning from the newsroom of Regional Radio and DeWittDailyNews.com. I'm Seth Lawrence with this expanded 7 o'clock newscast brought to you by Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters. Coming up in news on this Wednesday, last night at the Clinton City Council meeting, the council made it official that a DeWitt County leader will take over for the departed Taylor Baxter in the city leadership structure. The DeWitt County Sheriff is highlighting new laws that went into effect January 1 in Illinois. We get a recap of that Sunday snow in central Illinois with the National Weather Service in Lincoln, and the WHOW annual high school road tour kicked off yesterday with a stop in Cerro Gordo. Those stories and more coming up in local news. Later in sports this morning, we've also got a plethora of recaps from high school basketball action yesterday, including wins for the Monticello girls basketball program. Argenta Orienta's boys basketball were winners yesterday, and Blue Ridge boys were winners in high school basketball yesterday as well. That's coming up in sports later on this hour. But first, we stream to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. The city of Clinton made quick work in its pursuit of a replacement for Taylor Baxter, who has departed for Farmers City. Tuesday night at the Clinton City Council meeting, the council approved Tony Harris to replace Baxter. Harris, who was the longtime leader of the 911 Center for DeWitt County, says it was time for a change.
Well, it was time for a change. I have been the manager of our local 911 and CENTCOM Dispatch Center for 23 years. Prior to that, I've got about 32 years of total service in the 911 dispatch field. But it was time for a change. It's time to hand that over to someone else, and I'll be coming over here across the street and working with the city, and I'll take Taylor's place. And Tim did a lot of good work here when he was here a few years ago, and I appreciate all the work that he's done. And he and I have talked, and I think we're on the same page with some things. But I'm very excited about it. It's kind of ironic. I was tossing around the idea of retiring. I told my staff that that's what my plan was, and I was at a local business here in town, and I won't name any names, but one of the city councilmen approached me, and 3 years, I think it's been 3 years ago, maybe 4, I had tossed around the idea, actually applied for this position, but ended up withdrawing my name. I didn't feel like it was the time right then. But after that meeting with the city councilman, he said he didn't put any pressure on me. He said, "I tell you what, Tony, just think about this. The job's open. I'll call you." This was on a Friday. I'll call you next week. So on Monday, he made the call. My wife and I we had a conversation about it, and we just thought it was a good time and a good opportunity. That's what got me here.
Harris's title will vary slightly from the departing Baxter, who was the city administrator. Harris will be the administrative assistant to the council and explains it will involve a lot of zoning duties.
Well, basically, a big piece of this job is what I've been told is zoning, so that's a big piece of it. I know I'll start on next Monday, and the 13th we have a planning meeting, so that involves zoning and building codes, things like that. So that's going to be a big piece of it. I know that, and basically just being the overall face of the city and helping the council members out on things that they need done, and some grant funding, things like that.
Harris begins his new position with the city of Clinton next Monday, January the 13th. Again, still to come on this Wednesday on WHOW, we get a recap of that Sunday snow in central Illinois with the National Weather Service in Lincoln. And again, our WHOW annual high school road tour kicked off its annual trips on Tuesday with a trip to Cerro Gordo High School. We got a recap of our discussions in Cerro Gordo yesterday, coming up still in news on this Wednesday. The new year means new laws in Illinois. DeWitt County Sheriff Mike Walker received 17 pages of new laws passed by the Illinois legislature. One allows people to bid on foreclosed houses online rather than in person, which the sheriff believes will be a good thing.
Yeah, the Sheriff Association, Jim Kychuk, our executive director, is very good about updating us and keeping us posted on what's going on in Springfield. And right before the new year, I think we got this December 31st, December 30th, somewhere around there, sent us the bills that were going into effect, and there's only 17 pages of it, Seth. So, and that's 17 pages of 2 and 3 line brief descriptions of bills.
Oh my gosh!
I didn't count how many there are, but there's a lot. One of them that is that we are taking advantage of, and we've had this ability to do this, but it's a Senate Bill 2919. Permits judge, the sheriff, or other third party conducting the sale to conduct a judicial sale in person, online, or both their own discretion. So basically what that means is, and what we are going to do, we are going to start having all of our sheriff sales online. So what that means is whenever a home is foreclosed and the bank is going to sell that at a sheriff sale, instead of potential buyers coming to the sheriff's office lobby and actually bidding on that, they can get online through a company called WHOW and be able to bid on that property online. Our first sale is scheduled for February. We're going to be putting information out on our website here in the next week or two, so people can go there. And what we hope to do is hope to be able to get more people involved in that bidding process. I would say probably 1 out of every 15 or 20 actually has somebody that actually shows up and bids. Usually it's the attorney for the bank that shows up, and the bank has a minimum starting bid of what it's going to be, and nobody's there, and then that's what it sells to back to the bank.
Law enforcement will now be required to receive training on identifying and responding to individuals with autism. Sheriff Walker says although it's not a common occurrence, it is important to be trained.
Got one that is going to require Illinois, the Law Enforcement Training Standards Board, develop or approve a course to assist law enforcement officers in identifying and responding to individuals with autism. That's a situation that, you don't hear a lot about it, but, people with autism have different triggers, different things that upset them. One of the things that we have done, we've partnered with the Eagles here in town, started a program, and you can stop by the Clinton Police Department or the Sheriff's Office and pick up a sticker that you can put on your back window that indicates that a person has some kind of disability in that car, and then you can write in a Sharpie or something, autism or whatever, because you make a traffic stop and that it's involving somebody with autism. You can turn your lights off to where only your back lights are on, because sometimes flashing lights upsets a person with autism, or just the way you talk to people, or the flashlight, or different things. So it gives the officer an idea that, hey, there's somebody in here with autism or some other kind of disability, and makes us aware of it so we can adjust appropriately. So now the state is requiring the Training and Standards Board to approve some kind of training for law enforcement officers to help deal with people with autism.
Snowplows and tow trucks are not uncommon to see on the roads, and this year in Illinois, any state or municipality-owned service vehicles will be able to display green lights alongside those typical ambers and whites.
Another one is tow trucks or vehicles or equipment of the state, local authority, municipality, toll authority. They're going to be able to start using green lights in combination with amber or white lights. So now they're going to be able to add green lights to the amber lights they already have on them. There was some talk at one point to allow them to use red and blue oscillating lights similar to law enforcement, but they shot that down for obvious reasons. But they can use, they're going to be able to add green lights to that now too. It's just another attention getter for people driving down the roadway.
The new laws go into effect as of January 1, 2025. News time is 18 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Wednesday. Still to come here this morning. Later on, we take a look at sports, and high school basketball was busy on Tuesday. Monticello girls, Argenta Orienta boys, and Blue Ridge boys were all winners on the hardwood last night. We've got recaps of those games and much more coming up in sports later on this morning. The annual high school road tour kicked off its 2025 series with a stop in Cerro Gordo Tuesday morning. On the WHOW Morning Show, Cerro Gordo High School and junior high school principal Brandon Willard told Regional Radio they are working alongside the Macon County Chamber of Commerce to involve students for interview skills.
2 years ago, we partnered with the Macon County Chamber of Commerce, and Dave Schrock, he does a great job out there. And he started bringing business leaders from the community, from Caterpillar and ADM and all the big companies around the area out and to meet with our kids. Last year, they were so impressed with our seniors and their involvement in the program that they chose to shoot their commercial out here for us. So we had a lot of kids that got some commercial time. But ultimately, what it does is it provides our seniors, about 2 hours on a day once a month to get job skill, to develop their job skills, work on mock interviews. But then ultimately the goal is for the ones that are wanting to enter the workforce that some of these companies would hire them at the end of this process. And so it's fun to watch our seniors work with them. And we're going to start that. So it starts up in January. It'll run every month. But yeah, we're excited to get that going again. And our partnership with them has been fantastic.
Kirby Medical Center has collaborated with Cerro Gordo to keep its kids fit and teach them that exercise doesn't stop when your sports season ends. Athletic Director Diane Durbin says the students who participate have loved the partnership.
It was one thing that our athletes we know needed conditioning and fitness training, weightlifting, and even just learning about nutrition and things. Mm-hmm. It's important that our student athletes understand that we don't want to just lift during the season. We need something that we are working towards all year long. Mm-hmm. And even if you're not in season, you still need to be lifting weights and doing strength training, conditioning, all those things, because when you do it all year long, you're going to benefit, your team is going to benefit, and then it becomes lifelong as well. And so just being active and having nutrition is important, and just the conditioning and staying in shape. So it's important for the student athletes to understand and start working all year round, because we will become more competitive in all of our sports teams. And then, like I said, when you're doing it all the time, it just becomes part of what you do every day, and we will have lifelong fitness and just knowing the importance of all of that.
Brendan Puckett is the student council president at Cerro Gordo High School and explains they just wrapped up their candle fundraiser to benefit the student council and the National Honor Society.
Just recently, we wrapped up our first semester we did a candle fundraiser in partnership with the National Honor Society here.
Oh, okay, awesome.
So it was a joint fundraiser and it was successful. It's just overall funds for the National Honor Society and the student council. It helps us raise money to be able to host our dances like homecoming, and then coming up soon next month, National Honor Society, we're doing a Sadie Hawkins dance. I don't personally know how much we made from it. The goal is to try to get 300 per person.
Many of the student-run organizations at Cerro Gordo High School are self-sufficient, notes math teacher James Vogel. When students need an adult to make their ideas happen, that's where he comes in as a sponsor.
So my role is mostly just to keep the students on track. If they have any ideas, make sure those ideas get implemented, or I will come up with ideas or service projects for us to work on. And then normally if we work with a business or another corporation or another service organization, they usually need an adult to sign something.
Right.
That's mostly my role. Other than that, we delegate all the responsibilities to the students. We usually have them do the contacting, usually have them do the cooperation and the work or gathering materials, whatever is needed.
You can keep up with all things Cerro Gordo schools at cgbroncos.org. The farther north you went in Illinois, the less snow you likely encountered with this past weekend's snowstorm. On the WHOW Morning Show Tuesday, Nicole Albano at the National Weather Service in Lincoln told Regional Radio areas from Decatur to Jacksonville and farther south to I-70 received about 8 inches. But the farther north you went, those totals fell off.
It was quite a snowstorm for several people. Lincoln came in here at the office. We had 6.9 inches. Decatur was around 7 inches as well. And then Springfield, Jacksonville area, they came in with about 8 inches. So there was a a pretty heavy swath from about St. Louis eastward into near like the I-70 corridor. So 7 to 9 inch totals were common in that area, but that snowfall gradient the further north you got, those totals really were quite low. Peoria and Bloomington barely came out with an inch, so it was quite a difference from driving, say, north to south. It was kind of like two different stories, even just from the difference from like the north side to south side of a county. And it was mainly because there was just a lot of drier air further north across the state. So that was really eating away at a lot of the snow totals, say like in Bloomington and Peoria. It actually didn't start snowing until Sunday evening. Where it was snowing cats and dogs further south, it was very dry, and people were probably confused. Where's the snow?
Albano indicates the storm was one of the biggest Central Illinois has gotten in a few years. She indicates it was quite a challenge to track it leading up to its arrival Saturday night and into Sunday.
Yeah, there were definitely some fluctuations in the track of the storm, and that's kind of where it came difficult to forecast. You know, right on the northern side of the storm track is where the heaviest snow would be, which is what we observed in parts of central Illinois. But kind of near and just south of the storm track, that's where the temperatures were more favorable for ice, especially in those temperatures just above the surface. They were just warm enough to allow any snow to melt and then refreeze as they hit the surface. So really any fluctuation in the track, even if it tracked a little bit further north, that ice swath could have been across much of central Illinois instead. So just kind of really honing in on the tracks of what the different forecast models were predicting was kind of a headache to try to figure that out for all the weather service offices across the Midwest. Yeah, I mean, it was definitely one of our biggest snowstorms here in probably over 2 years. I think our last biggest one was back in February of 2022. But yeah, even if people didn't get a lot of snow, like we mentioned, you drive 10, 15 miles south of your location, say you're in Bloomington, it's kind of a different story. There's a lot of snow on the ground. So quite an interesting snowstorm. We were due for one.
It was very cold during this week's snow event. Albano indicates the cold temperatures are going to stick around for a few more days.
Yeah, we're looking at pretty cold temperatures through this week, cooler than normal. So normals for this time of the year should be highs in the mid 30s and then lows in the like low 20s. But our forecast is showing highs in the teens to low 20s with lows in the single digits. So especially with a pretty thick snowpack across the area, that is really going to drive temperatures down too. You got really cool precipitation at the surface, and that looks like temperatures are going to stick around like that at least through the weekend. We do begin to moderate a little bit, but we're still looking like we're going to stay below normal at least through the end of January. Thankfully, winds don't look particularly strong, which is good. We're under what we call high pressure, and we usually don't see really strong winds under high pressure. So even though our low temperatures may dip down into the single digits, wind should stay below about 10 miles an hour. But with that being said, any slight breeze could really send those wind chills down below zero. It looks like in the single digits below zero is what we'll kind of bottom out at.
More snow could be on the way later this week. We'll have more on that with Albano still this week on Regional Radio. 27 minutes is new after the 7 o'clock hour is news time on this Wednesday. We'll wrap things up coming up on the morning show.
Happy New Year from all of us at Baum Chevrolet Buick here in Clinton and Farmer City. This is Scott Baum. Most of our customers trade for a different SUV or truck because their needs change each year. That's good because we have transportation options for you. Plus, we need your trade. Our selection of top quality pre-owned trades come from you. Come see our ever-changing new Chevrolet and Buick inventory today. BaumChevyBuick.com. Right from the start.
News time is 28 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Wednesday. Again, I'm Seth Lawrence with you folks today for this expanded local newscast. We'll take a look at obituaries for this Wednesday. 81-year-old Charles Chuck W. Johnson of Clinton passed away January 6th at his family residence in Clinton. Services for 81-year-old Charles Chuck W. Johnson will be at 11 a.m. Friday at Calvert Funeral Home in Clinton with Pastor Terry Leach officiating. Burial will follow at Texas Township Cemetery in Clinton with military honors. The visitation will be from 5 to 7 p.m. Thursday at the funeral home. The family requests casual burials can be directed to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. 71-year-old Richard McConnell of Clinton passed away on January 6th at his family's home in Clinton. A celebration of life for 71-year-old Richard McConnell will be on Sunday, January 12th at 2 p.m. at the First Christian Church in Clinton in the Family Life Center. The family has entrusted Calvert Funeral Home of Clinton with cremation rights. Memorials can be made in Richard's name to Second Chance for Pets of Clinton. Again, news time, 29 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Wednesday. Coverage of news is brought to you by Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters. We stream to Facebook and YouTube. Brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Coming up in sports on this Wednesday, Monticello girls get a win on the road, Blue Ridge boys get a victory, and one of their seniors eclipses 1,000 points. Those stories next in sports.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason. It's a truly horrific scene across parts of the Los Angeles area as wind-driven wildfires.
Tuesday night's Monticello boys basketball game against Teutopolis has been rescheduled to Wednesday. A major winter storm impacted travel in south central Illinois. The game will be played at its regularly scheduled time of a 5:30 JV tip and a 7 p.m. varsity tip at the Seaver Center in Monticello. Hear tonight's action on 95.9 FM WEZC and online at DeWittDailyNews.com.
With SRN Sports, I'm George Williams. Starting with your NBA action last night, an exciting finish between the Hawks and the Jazz. Trae Young hit a buzzer-beating basket from half court to help the Hawks win by 3 points, 124-121. Elsewhere, Hornets over the Suns 115-104. The Rockets beat the Wizards 135-112. Mavericks over the Lakers 118-97. Timberwolves down the Pelicans 104-97. In a battle between two top-tier teams, Celtics over the Nuggets 118-106. And it's the Heat defeating the Warriors 114-98. Turning to the NHL, there were 4 games that went past regulation, and 2 of them went to overtime. Flames over the Ducks 3-2. Red Wings beat the Senators 3-2. In shootouts, Blue Jackets over the Penguins 4-3. Golden Knights beat the Sharks 4-2. Other NHL winners, Oilers over the Bruins, Lightning beat the Hurricanes, Maple Leafs down the Flyers, Wild beat the Blues, and the Jets beat the Predators. This is SRN Sports. In men's college basketball last night, top 25 action, there was a major upset. 8th-ranked Florida downs top-ranked Tennessee. It was a rout, 73-43. Auburn was a winner over Texas. Number 3, Iowa State beat Utah. And number 4, Duke was a winner over Pittsburgh. But in another upset, Georgia upset number 6, Kentucky, 82-69. 7th-ranked Marquette got through, getting a win over Georgetown, 74-66. But a couple more upsets. Arizona topped number 21, West Virginia, and number 23, Michigan beat number 22, UCLA, 94-75. A big margin there. Then number 5, Utah State, a winner over San Jose State, 85-78. And NFL coaching news: Las Vegas Raiders have fired Antonio Pierce after just one season. Pierce joins New England Patriots' Jared Mayo among the unemployed now, and Jacksonville Jaguars had already fired Doug Peterson. This is SRN Sports.
Time now for a look at sports. I'm Seth Lawrence with this report. Tuesday night's Monticello boys basketball game against Teutopolis has been rescheduled to Wednesday. A major winter storm impacted travel in south central Illinois. The game will be played at its regularly scheduled time of a 5:30 JV tip and a 7 p.m. varsity tip at the Seaver Center in Monticello. Hear tonight's action on 95.9 FM WEZC and online at DeWittDailyNews.com. Monticello topped Hoopeston 51-24 in non-conference high school girls basketball action Tuesday night in Hoopeston. Allie Widener led Monticello with 17 points. Megan Allen just missed a double-double with 9 points and 12 rebounds. Sarah Cressip, Emma Arnold, and Pearl Glaze each added 6 points. For the Lady Sages, Monticello travels to Bloomington Central Catholic on Thursday. Argenta Oriena used a fast start to hold off Central A&M 75-56 in non-conference high school boys basketball action Tuesday night. The Bombers led 19-6 after one quarter and increased its lead to 36-19 at the half. The Raiders made 10 three-pointers in the game, but Argenta Oriena was led by Carter Logue, who had 23 points, and Damian Good had 22. Rhett McLean paced Central A&M with 18 points, while Ace Spinner scored 13. Central A&M drops to 6-7 overall. Argenta Oriena is 5-8. They host Arcola Friday night for Lincoln Prairie Conference action. Blue Ridge made easy work of Urbana Uni High, 67-39 in non-conference high school boys basketball action Tuesday night in Urbana. Corbin Colbert scored 25 points to lead all scorers. He did not play in the fourth quarter. With 18 points Tuesday, Isaac Price eclipsed the 1,000-point mark for his career at Blue Ridge. The Knights are 7-6 overall. They host Decatur Unity Christian Friday night in Lincoln Prairie Conference play. A slow third quarter doomed Blue Ridge in a 53-30 loss to Calvary Christian Tuesday night in non-conference high school girls basketball action in Farmer City. The Lady Knights trailed 17-13 at the half, but were outscored 24-5 in the third quarter and could not recover. Calvary's Sydney Jackson scored a game-best 31 points, going 14 of 18 at the foul line. Alyssa Edwards and Carly Fenton each scored 7 for Blue Ridge. C.D. Manuel had 6 points. The Lady Knights are 0-12 overall. They travel to Georgetown Ridge Farm Friday night. Matt Boldy's tie-breaking goal early in the third for Minnesota completed a comeback from a 2-score deficit to beat the Blues 6-4 Tuesday night for their fourth straight victory. Boldy snapped in a shot off a pass from Matt Zuccarello on a 2-on-1 rush after Blues defenseman Jake Broberg's stick broke in the neutral zone. Joel Erickson scored for Minnesota midway through the second period, and Jake Middleton tied the game a minute 16 into the third. Marcus Johansson tacked on an empty netter. Jordan Cairo, Jake Neighbors, and Robert Thomas all scored for St. Louis in the second period for a 4-2 lead for St. Louis that prompted Minnesota to pull goalie Philip Gustafsson, who had allowed a total of 3 goals over 2 earlier wins against the Blues this season. Marc-Andre Fleury had a stellar night in relief, stopping all 16 shots he faced, including a close-range windmill glove save that robbed Dylan Holloway down the stretch. Zach Bogosian and John Merrill scored 49 seconds apart to put the Wild in front with just 2:12 elapsed in the game. Bennington stopped 19 shots, but his second most goals were allowed for the season. St. Louis hosts Anaheim to start a 4-game homestand on Thursday. Get sports anytime from your computer or mobile device at DeWittDailyNews.com.
This is staff meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki with your regional radio forecast. Ample sunshine expected today with daytime highs approaching 22. Northwesterly winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Mainly clear skies. Tonight, lows dip down to about 4 above. About an inch of snow tomorrow night through Friday. Hear weather twice an hour or online anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com. Currently 16.
This is the RFD Livestock Report. I'm DeLoss Yonke, going just north of the border. Kevin Schultz, market manager at Equity Cooperative Livestock Sales location in Monroe, Wisconsin, which is just a few miles north of the border, isn't it, Kevin?
Yeah, it's about 3 miles north of Illinois.
So I was going to say, some of those fat or any kind of livestock comes to your place. Some of it probably comes from south of the border.
Yep, about half of them come from down there.
Wow. So I was just noticing the numbers that you had on Monday. What was the price range for fed cattle?
Majority of them good hard-fed beef cattle were 2 to 210. It's kind of the average on most. And then that top end, we did have a nice up there at 213 and a half.
Forehead at 213 and a half. So how would that compare with the week before or the last couple of weeks?
Last couple of weeks numbers were down a little bit. A lot of guys holding up, income for the first of the year. So we were kind of in that 90s, lower 2s for the last weeks.
So to go to 210, that's quite a jump.
Yeah, yep.
Wow.
A pretty significant jump.
So do you think that is short-term questions, considering the winter weather that went south of you over the weekend? Do you think that all of a sudden there became a demand for cattle?
I think the holidays played a lot with it with the plants. A lot of sale barns not having sales through the week. I just think, the supply and demand, there was huge demand coming off of 2 weeks. A lot of sale barns not having sales. You just saw that kind of need for cattle this week to get them plants back to the numbers they need. So I just think that was a big push behind it.
I was going to say, if I bring them next Monday, may not hope for 210 or 212 necessarily.
Right. What I'm kind of hearing is I think you still, in that 2.8, something like that. The market doesn't sound like a drop to, what it was. But I still think you'll see a certain market next week. Possibly, that 210. But yeah, figure on counting, seeing more of that 2 to 2.08, I think.
Gotcha. Wow, that's pretty good. Now, is there also similar demand for cull cows or slaughter bulls or anything like that?
We did see a small uptick in price on them. I think that will be coming with, the beef jumping as much as they are. I see the cow market jump, but we haven't seen it jump, this week like we did the fat cattle.
633 head of fed cattle. So is that necessarily a big number, or is that a normal Monday number for you?
Typically, that's kind of a normal Monday for us. We're kind of in that 550, 700 range, kind of on a typical Monday.
But since it's fed cattle, people probably aren't bringing in too many pot loads, right? So you're selling 4 at a time and 2 at a time, so it makes for a long day.
Yeah, not too bad. We do get, there's probably about a couple guys bring a couple pot loads in a week, but yeah, a lot of them are just 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s.
Yeah. The ones that were 213 and a half, what'd they go? Were they like 1,600 pounds or?
1550s.
1550. Yeah, that's not too shabby.
Yeah, I did got your. I was looking last year, a year ago to this date. The top price was $1.8050. January of last year at this sale.
$1.8050.
Of 24. So yeah, she's come up with some a year.
Kevin Schultz, Monroe, Wisconsin, Equity Cooperative Livestock Sales, saw a Facebook post yesterday from Fairview, an average of 207 with a top of 215. Strong demand for beef early in the new year. From the Country Financial Studio, this is the RFD Livestock Report.
Return to an active lifestyle and higher quality of living with Gibson Area Hospital Orthopedics. Your orthopedic health is important, and Dr. Brett Keller specializes in joint replacement, robotic total joint replacements, general orthopedic care, and fracture care. Warner Hospital provides award-winning orthopedic health to DeWitt County with Gibson Area Hospital Orthopedics. Now scheduling patients at the Warner Specialty Clinic in Clinton. Call 217-784-4340.
Liberty Village of Clinton's Memory Lane provides fitness for the mind. Hi, I'm Jill Rieger, Director of Marketing. Our memory care program focuses on an individual's strengths for personalized care. Click on our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
SIU Family Medicine wants the best health for you and your family. Be a champion. Protect your loved ones. The SIU Center for Family Medicine of Lincoln is accepting new patients. Click their icon at DeWittDailyNews.com to schedule your appointment.
With the RFD Ag Market Summary for this Wednesday morning, I'm Jim Taylor. Corn slightly higher, beans slightly lower, and wheat finishing Tuesday slightly higher. March corn closing 4.58 up 1/4. May corn up half a penny, 4.65 3/4. July corn 4.68 1/4 up 1/4. January